Welcome to Answers from the Universe and the Andronicus transmissions on Wolf Spirit Radio, Ever Beyond Radio, and Studio 9 Jam on YouTube. With your host, Jessica Ariel Morocco, featuring JP as the voice of Andronicus. Please visit www.readingsbyrael.com, that's ARAEL.
From the future, by way of past. I bought my ticket for the 15th century. We started moving through a hole in history.
You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
And thank you for joining us today at Answers from the Universe and the Andronicus transmissions. So today is we're going to have further discussions regarding the Andronicus transmissions. I know that it's funny. I was talking to some people and they were having discussions regarding artificial intelligence and then people coming getting information, channeled information from various sources. And I understand all of that, and I could see that, some people might be a little apprehensive, but, those that have been listening for the past, I think we're getting up there to about almost 50.
Yeah, we're on 48 today.
Almost 50 transmissions, and the information that's come through has actually, helped me, it's helped other people. So I like to think that we're not in that category of providing misinformation. I know that there can be a lot of generic information. Some of the characters, whether or not their intentions are truly, honorable or not, that's something for you to decide. But I think they're reflecting our human attributes in many ways. So anyhow, I just felt like I needed to say that today, and not to validate what I'm doing, because I feel like I'm going to do this regardless, and because it is, to me, it has been very helpful, and some of the people that I've interacted with have expressed their appreciation, how they've gained some insight through it, and because of that, I've invited another guest today. I did a session with this woman. And she is, she resides in France right now. And she's originally from South Africa, but, she had some interesting things to share with me, and I thought I'd just bring her in, to speak to all of you and, share what her experience has been regarding the transmission. So, I want to say hello to JP as well.
Hello, my dear. How are you?
Hello, JP. Good.
I'll try not to drink too much coffee today.
And just another quick reminder. Yes. Oh. Haven't we all, right? I thought you were drinking tea anyhow. I thought you were a tea drinker.
I normally drink tea, but sometimes I need that kind of coffee extra. But I can't take it I couldn't drink it every day. Otherwise I'd end up in a hospital with some sort of herniated eardrum or something. I don't know. But it was just like, some fuse would blow in my brain, I would think. So,
okay.
So anyway, meanwhile, back at the show. Oh, hey,
yeah.
Hey, I got a really good meanwhile. It's actually for Sean's show, but you'll love this. Check this one.
Meanwhile, at stately Wayne Manor.
I love that.
So,
I do want to remind people before I get into the show, I do want to remind them if they are interested in being a part of, my magical journey that I'm doing with, Shona, Journeys in Ireland, I would love for you to join me. And so, like I said, we have, there's a few openings for, us to go on that tour. It's August, 7th, and we'll be gone for a week. So if you are very interested in joining us, let me know. My, email address is jessica@readingsbyariel.com. And you can find that on my website as well at www.readingsbyariel.com. Arael.com. That's ARAEL. Okay. And so, thank you for that little commercial break.
And it's just how there's been some lovely new connections. I just want to say hello to everybody in the chat room. I mean, do you remember the days when we first started this and it was like we had 3 people and a dog, if some of the people were listening, you know, like
right.
The dog was the most attentive in the early days, but luckily, I put them all on YouTube from the word go. So now people can come back to them and go through. I've made a playlist on my Studio 9 Jam, so that everybody who, wants to start all the way from the beginning and hear the story. It's a fantastic story. And it's just like, you know, watching several series of like Star Trek or Babylon 5 or Hitchhiker's Guide. There is a story arc that, you know, you couldn't even have planned this if you would have written this story. You know, imagine like writing you know, they have these plans and they have, they have like a fuzzy felt board and they have little pieces of wool that they run from one to the other. And they have this complicated timeline and character arcs and all that plot line. None of this. This is not happening. This is just Jessica is receiving this from the people as they report, you know.
I will tell you that most of it came from this morning.
Really?
That's how spontaneous it was.
Right. And now I haven't even seen these transmissions yet. So when I read them, they'll be as fresh to me as they were when you put them down onto the document.
Right. And like I said, I remember trying to do creative writing and talk about tapping the pencil and getting up and walking around and then having to have a snack and then going outside and, you know, all this stuff because it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need some kind of fuel, you think, or, you know, how do I create the machine to get it to, you know, start moving? And, I could never think about this stuff. I start writing and I'm like, oh my God, that happened? Where is this going? You know, and it goes into this whole other direction. It's really, really wild. So, I just need a moment. JP, can you, talk? I just need to fix the door. Right
Go and fix the door. Yeah, well, anyway, so, what's been happening this week? So yes, I spoke to, so it's been a very kind of busy, quite an intense pressure at the weekend. I felt myself. It was like, felt like there was like the sky was heavy. Oh. It's like pressing down on my soul, like a kind of headachy, pressure sort of feeling.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting, and it turns out that Saturn was at its perigee, which means it's closest to the planet.
Well, Saturn, what a heavyweight that would be. All the, that was a prison for a very long time. And, a lot of atrocities happened there, so,
Yes, so.
Yeah, the burden of Saturn, send it a clearing. Very, very big clearing.
Well, what I feel I grounded it.
Okay.
It drained through me. Actually, that's very interesting. I'm learning about the electronic device called a MOSFET, a metal oxide silicon field effect transistor, and that's what it does. It connects things to ground when you open its gate.
That is awesome. Say that name again.
We call them MOSFETs, MOSFET, MOSFET.
Okay.
And you'll find them in just about every modern power amplifier, you know, your stereo, your TV, anything that's got loudspeakers will have it. Anything's inverters that make electricity use these as well. So it's a very important component, and it's just like a gate switch, like a relay, but electronic. And,
excellent.
Wow.
I've been acting like a MOSFET. Bring in all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, this is what I'm learning about, you see.
You're going to appreciate, Meetis' transmission because he's going to say some things today. Although there's no music today because it's very, very heavy and, he's heavy today.
Well, here's an interesting thing. Red Pill 24 in the chat room. I think you're a dude, but has composed something out of last week's Meetis transmission.
No way.
So hopefully during the show, and perhaps hopefully in time for the middle, we can play his thing. I don't know what he did. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it was completely random. I'm going to trust you. I've just put my Skype name in the chat room. When you connect, I will delete it again. And then you can send it through there, and hopefully we can play it through while we're in the middle of the show. So I will now step back so that you may speak to your friend.
No, I would. You know what? You're a part of it, JP.
Right.
So I want you to say hello. Hello, Olivia. Come and join us.
Hi, guys. I'm just hoping everyone can hear me.
Perfectly.
So yeah, go on and you know, share with us. We recently did a little session together, and I was looking at your artwork.
Yes.
Fascinating.
Yes. Thanks for doing that. It's something that. I don't know, JP, I sent you some of the artwork, so possibly you can look at it as well. And there was some things that came through in 2009, and I was busy sketching outside, just sketching the spring flowers, and I was just sitting quietly, and all of a sudden this kind of writing came through. And it's not from left to right, it's kind of from the top to the bottom, and I just started writing, and it was a, comfortable type of thing, and it looked a little bit Chinese or Japanese or Cantonese, I still don't really know what it is. And since then, it's just something that's stayed with me. It feels like every time I'm a bit stressed, I sit down and I do a bit of that weird writing, and I've not called it anything other than just the weird writing. And recently moved back to France from South Africa, and basically had the opportunity to become a full-time artist instead of working a full-time job and then art on the side. I was lucky enough to kind of make that final switch over. And in the studio one day, frustrated with my background, and I tried everything, and at one point I just said, well, I'm just going to do whatever feels natural. And I picked up a brush, and I'm a still life artist. I do still life work, and my recent obsession is this indigo blue, and so everything I do has got this indigo blue background. But this background just wasn't working, and I was frustrated, and everything I did just didn't feel right. So basically sat down, picked up a brush, dipped it in some lovely copper and gold paint, and started writing. And this weird writing that I call it became part of the art in the background. And it felt good and it felt natural to do it. So I did another painting and that felt right as well. So it's basically this traditional still life setup, but with this writing in the background, almost fading in and out in some places. And what I got from that later on is that all this information, and I've been listening to you guys on the YouTube for about a month now, working my way steadily through the 47 shows. There's so much, it's just amazing stuff to listen to, and so many things have just popped in and connected the dots. For me, I'm calling this Connect the Dot show, because every time, JP, you have something to say about something, and then you, Jessica, come in, it's like, oh my goodness, of course, this and all is all connected. So for me, those paintings became like a little placeholder that says that this information is coming through into our everyday lives. This still life represents just the mundane objects and life as we know it on this planet, but this information is beginning to seep through almost from the background of our minds, almost like from these dark spaces of our subconscious minds. This information is beginning to seep through, and it's blurry in places, but we can see it quite clearly in other places. So these two paintings that I've made recently have been very interesting for me, and it's I know, Jessica, you and I, when we did the reading, you were able to kind of give me a bit more information about where this could be coming from, and so this is all new to me. I've been researching about all this stuff and for about 10 years, so I've always been open to it, but it's never really been part of what I would call my public life. So it's an interesting journey for me as well. So yes, that's how that's come about.
Well, thank you for coming out and sharing it. I know that, for some people, this is the first time that they would ever explore in these areas, but only because, you were starting to open up on your own. And for me, the language immediately, I kept on hearing Arcturian. But I just, like I said, this is your experience, and these are the things that are coming through for you. But maybe we can get a picture of it. I don't know if we're able to do that in the chat room or not.
Well, this is what I'm currently working on, Jess. I'm just working. I'm downloading them, and then I'm uploading them to Wolf Spirit Radio's site, and I'll put them in a media. I'll drop them, drop the links to them in the chat room.
Okay.
As we speak. So just, sorry, Olivia, do you want to speak to them in order that you sent me?
Okay.
So that I may post them in that order, so that people may, I've got enough time to post them in the chat room while you speak about them. So the first one that you sent me is an apple and a vase with the writing in the background there.
That's right. So that was actually the first one that the writing kind of came through in the background. And it's funny because I find that the traditional, I'm a self-taught artist, and for me, it was always something that hindered me in the past, being self-taught. I didn't get the opportunity to go to art school. I had to do other things. And only later in my life did I get the opportunity to really focus on what I felt was my true calling. And I know traditionally when you're an artist, you get told to work on a concept, develop the concept, and bring it through you. And for me, it's quite different. I get inspired by just putting things together, especially still life objects, from just around my environment, and then find them when you put them together in a format, something just clicks in you and you feel, ooh, actually that works. So this specific painting, that vase in the background is a vase that my mother owned, and she recently passed. So it's an object that has a lot of emotional value for me. And the apple is something that it also has a symbolic value for me in terms of just what it stands for. It has a lot of story in terms of the origin of the apple in the Adam and Eve story, and there's a lot of other symbolism that it has personally for me as well. But I didn't think about those things when I placed the two objects together. It was just, oh, there's a vase and there's an apple. It was actually only after I painted it and after I put the words in or the kind of writing in the background that the significance of those two pieces of those two objects kind of sunk in, that this was almost, the vase was standing as a representation of my mother, and the apple was the representation of almost like a higher understanding, an alchemic understanding. The apple core, the shape of the apple core reminds me of the toroidal, energy fields around the earth and around certain things, and magnetic fields. So that's what the apple represents to me. So these two things stood as a proxy to those ideas for me. And then all of a sudden this writing started to want to be superimposed on this. So this is the apple and the vase, the apple and the vase piece. And what I would like to also do is if there's anybody out there that look at this writing and it means something to them, or they can kind of almost decipher it and say, actually it says this and this. I kind of appreciate that, because to me it just flows through me, and I don't actually even get a sense of what it means. It's more a feeling and a sensation, but to this point I've not been able to put any words to it. I think it's because I'm probably more of a visual artist, and sometimes, communicating verbally is harder than visually. And so yes, if there's anybody interested in or has any insight, please let me know, get hold of me, or it would be interesting to see what this does for other people. JP, what is the second one you've got?
I'm having trouble getting the first one up just now.
Okay.
If you can, I think it's because there's a lot going on. I've got a lot of things going up and down. Let me just try one more time to drop that.
Is the file too big, JP?
No, it's just bandwidth. Allow me one moment.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, and so what is the second one, Olivia, or JP?
I'm nearly there. It's just uploaded. So
okay.
I'll be putting the apple and the vase. There we go. Okay, so it takes its time, these things. Really, if you, I know it's too late. It would have been better to have it in like an hour ago, where I have enough time to upload, because I've only got a limited bandwidth. So there we go. So now, all right, come on, I'm just getting the link and dropping into the chat room. Right now, there, the apple in the vase is in the chat room. And
Yay,
then you want to put the next one up, which is the chalice.
That's a beautiful picture.
Oh, this literally happened. I drew this maybe a week ago as a almost like a thumbnail study of a still life that I'd like to do. I found these beautiful glasses in an antique shop in France, and just the light shines through them incredibly well from my windowsill as I'm sitting in my studio. And one night, late night, I was making a sketch of this, and again, this writing seems to just want to come through. And as soon as I did the actual drawing, this writing started to almost appear out of the dark, kind of the middle part of it, where it's quite dark and it feels like it's almost emanating out. And then I almost signed it at the bottom. So again, in this writing, I keep getting this feeling like the information, especially the kind of information that you guys are bringing through, or you're bringing through, Jessica, is that this higher frequency information is beginning to seep through our everyday life. And I keep getting the same thing. Is even if you are engaging in making a cup of tea and walking the dog, you are going to become almost saturated with this higher frequency of information, and it's unavoidable now. It feels like we've stepped into a new time frame, or we've changed timelines in some way where it's unavoidable. It's going to be in your everyday mundane life. You don't have to go and be in a meditative state anymore. You almost don't even have to go and take ayahuasca or psilocybin mushrooms to even access some of this stuff, although I'm sure it will help. This is going to come through whether you like it or not. And yes, this one was very much a case of it's now even coming into my sketches.
So Olivia, I've now uploaded them to the website, and there are 3 links. So they're in order of apple vase, chalice, and weird writing. So there we go. Writing. Oh, Featherworld says, "Dang, it looks familiar."
Yeah, yeah. So maybe you'll have a conversation, and it'll probably be good for you to join the chat.
Yes.
And if anyone has any questions, they can ask you. And we're gonna move forward and start doing the transmissions. But I want to thank you so much for sharing your gift, and we all are transmitting information and creating, gathering data, and not to be afraid of it. If it does seem like it's coming from a bad source, then stop it, but, if you're not going to know until you start pulling the information through and be able to kind of weigh it out and kind of get an idea of what it's all about. Keep doing it. Olivia, it's really beautiful work, and you're quite a talented person, and we appreciate your testimony.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it, and have a great day.
Thank you very much, Olivia.
Thank you.
Jess, I think we need to reset this call, so let me just drop this, and I'll call you back in 1 second. I'll just bring Jessica back in there, and there we go. That's a much cleaner call. So, well, there's interesting, isn't it?
It is very interesting, and I want to do this more often because the people that I'm connecting with, they're so amazing. They're really, really gifted people, and even the people in the chat room, I highly respect and appreciate their opinions and thoughts, and they have such insights. And I was just talking to Viking recently, and he's like, I want to see those transmissions, he says, because I keep on feeling like I get more and more information from them. And it just continues to build. And so he wants to do more about, addressing, I don't know if it was one transmission or, or a couple of them, but, regarding the whole, what is going on here, type of thing, and looking at the depth of it. And so this is, the feedback of what people are saying is actually expounding more upon what the original message is. So that's, to me, it's valuable. It's very, very valuable, because that's what it's all about. We're here to learn, and if they have some insight to share with us that can actually enhance our experience here, then let's gain as much as we can.
Interesting. So I've spoken before about my theory on how I think writing has developed, in that ancient writings go right to left and modern writings go left to right to follow the sun as the Earth has been rotating in its direction. So this is obviously a trans shift society that experienced both ways and thought, well, bugger it, we'll go right up and down then. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe, I don't know how it works. But there seems to be a home position, like a screen, and it's going down from the left and going across. I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, Vanessa's saying some of the characters remind me of old-fashioned shorthand. Featherwile is saying Mayan, and a few look like Reiki symbols. And some of them look like ancient Hebrew as well. There's
interesting.
Things there.
I would actually we are creating a website for the Andronicus transmissions, so people can further look into some of this.
Ah, yeah, that's a good place for it to go to.
And, kind of a page where people have something to share with us, to have a home place where they can, whether they were inspired by, the Andronicus transmissions and, had something that, that's somewhat connected to it. So, yeah, we can see how that goes, but I think this would be a nice piece.
Yeah, definitely. Is AndronicusTransmissions.com?
Yes.
And we've hardly worked on it. I've just thrown it up, as it were. If anybody's willing to come along and get involved, because we don't, Jess is busy, and I'm busy. I do this once a week. But if anybody wants to get involved and help us keep the place tidy, I don't know, have some kind of a team that can start creating a network. I mean, this prediction last week that I played, this lady who said that we'll be forming a network. This is it. This is what's happening. So let's see where it takes us. And thank you very much, everybody. It's I'm looking. All right, I sent the wave to the email. Oh, crap. Also, I have to sing along with it. Really?
Oh. Does she have the lyrics?
I don't remember how it went. It'll be in last week's episode. So
it was last week's episode.
I don't know how to do it on MP3. Yeah, Paul did it. Hey.
You want me to pull it up?
No. Paul from Newcastle says, I'll do it, JB. All right. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, that's true. So, maybe we should, set up well, look, if anybody's interested, send me an email to jp@wolfspiritradio.com, and, we'll create some sort of, informal subgroup, ad hoc, committee to think about it. No, but just get stuff done. This is the way we do it, just things get done because they're needing done, somebody doesn't. So.
Yeah, and someone, finds a place where they can kind of contribute. And remember, you have the ability to create your own, bring in your own creativity and ideas and JP and I are very open-minded and flexible regarding, how things are structured. So as long as it's coherent and some people have brilliant ideas, and I love that. All of us contributing something makes it amazing. So.
Excellent. So, so there's Paul from Newcastle, is saying he's got web design. So maybe he can, help with putting the site together. Cause at the moment it's just a blank site. There's black and white writing and, it's not got any pictures or graphics or anything like that. So it's completely, a virgin site. If somebody's interested to take it up and, work with us, just do your thing. You've got nothing better to do. Come and do your stuff here. We got plenty of things to do. Oh, by the way, Jessica,
Yes.
can you go to your chat room? And in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little loudspeaker symbol that you have to click on and ask it to mute and stay muted.
Yeah, I can also...
Because I'm it's going...
hearing it.
Yeah.
How about this? I'm even going to just shut down my sound there. Okay.
You see that?
Yes, I got it.
There we go. It's something that we all need to do when we come into the chat room. If anybody's new to the chat room, that's what you have to do. It's on the bottom right. There's a little loudspeaker just next to the number of people who are here. And please, if you are there and you can see the word set name down there, click on that and either register. It doesn't take long. It's free and it's no obligation. Either register with Chatango or set a temporary name and you can come in and chat. But if you put any comments in the chat room and they say anon, blah blah blah, anon and a number, then you'll probably be ignored because it's rude. It's like walking in with a sort of covering over your body, disguising or a mask. So anyhow, excellent. Thank you very much, everybody. Shall we move on to our first transmission, Jess?
Sure. Why don't we... I'm kind of torn between Meetis and...
Well, should we do Meetis first?
well...
I know, and then everything...
It's heavy. All right.
It's heavy, but we can, then everything else will be lighter, won't it? He said,
right.
Apart from Kraton, of course, who's not really.
Kraton's actually very light today.
Is it? What about Tektatron? He's a bit like, he's Marvin.
We're going to have him for the end.
Oh, I don't know.
To cheer everyone up.
I'm so cheerful.
All right.
All right.
Let's begin with Meetis.
With Meetis. So now let's Meetis' theme. They have changed Geb so much that the night turns to day and the day turns to night. I'm disoriented and confused. I suppose that was the intention. The smell. It is beyond what any sensory experience should be. It is a rotting scent with smoke and ashes. I asked who they were killing and I didn't get a response. This is not the place that I once adored. I can't help but think they specifically chose Geb because of me and how I adored it as a refuge. Just like every prison camp, it is laid waste. Reform, they say. I say play, levity, laughter is the only way out of here. How can one climb above the dredges without pulling themselves up by the bootstraps? Yet the bootstraps have great weight when one has a heavy heart.
How long do you have to be there?
Oh, I treasure your visit to me. It is a dying place here, and you bring a whimsy that I need to glean from. I would give anything to see you frolic and dance to my music now. They have cut us off from everything.
Is this the camp of Rhodan?
No, Rhodan would never treat us this way. He sent us here but left us alone. With his absence, the grey ones came. I don't know who they are. They seem quite robotic and uncaring.
I'd like to get you out of there. The Greys are the Zeta?
Possibly, I'm not sure.
How far back are we? I can't see the timeline from this perspective.
There isn't a timeline from this place. Observe their craft hidden among the craggy crevices. It is burnished red. They march here in a strange way.
You mean like lifting their legs higher than usual?
Yes, it is unnerving for some reason.
Tell me, who is imprisoned there with you? Are there many with high power or who had notable lineage?
There are many here. I wish you would go now. We're in trouble. They see us.
I'm safe because I'm merely a projection.
Yeah, they'll come and find you. They know how to do that.
They're the Nazis? Are you serious? And can this be possible? This is far back in time.
Oh, I don't know how they found us. They're turning our place into a wasteland and extracting knowledge from us through Rhodan's machine, like a truth serum.
Just then I had a strange dizziness and I wondered what had happened. Then I realized I had altered something by being there. Meetis, I think I changed something. Then I observed a white spacecraft, odd-shaped. Not round or flat, but oval and rotund. It was large and spacious. The Zetas were frozen in time. The ones who arrived had shut down the program of the Zetas, and the rest of the captives began boarding the ship. For some reason, I couldn't see who was on the ship. It was Rhodan's men taking them back. Each one of them were elated to find refuge. Meetis, there is your freedom. I will leave you now.
Oh, don't go. Please don't go. I don't want to be a prisoner anymore. Take me with you.
Rhodan has given me permission if you want to leave with me. He said you don't have to have the trauma that the others have. He didn't realize this was going on. The rest are going to be cared for, but you can leave with me if you want to.
I do. I will arrive when your first president dies, Abraham Lincoln. You will have more than one timeline on the planet now. It might become confusing to you. I have to change you or it will interfere with your present lifetimes. Now you can access the alternative lifetimes in the Akasha. 4 others will be afflicted by the same anomaly.
Why did this happen?
Because you have an odd entry back into the planet. It creates a ripple, and they were also playing with time, the rulers of the Zetas. It is all strange science, and not everyone understands it.
Well, who are the 4 affected by the timeline shift and now have alternate timelines?
Primus, Dan, Viking, and Jacob. They were all my friends and still are. Because you viewed this, you will notice some of the others who were there also suffered the timeline shifts. Names unmentioned.
Did you know this was going to happen?
Never. How could I imagine something so corrupt and death-ridden? Like walking death. Your friend Peter knows this place and the alternate timeline as well. He's in a much better place in his home now.
You know him?
I know many of the ones you speak to now. They have been around me as well. I am going to stand in proxy for the young man. He has much of a positive future and not equipped mentally to deal with these beasts. I shall disassemble them one by one. I will finally be a hero.
Well, thank you for doing that, Meetis. So how can I support you further?
Take me back now and I will show you what happens next. By the way, I was the time traveller near Montauk. It was me, in the steampunk outfit, returning the time of Abraham Lincoln. I regret my entry created the unfortunate event. He was a fine ruler, he was. I'm sorry that incident occurred. They were looking for me. You know the tall hat. That's what triggered them. I brought in a lot of technology and ingenuity regarding building objects, planes and trains, etc. It was my interest to share and help make up for the altered history. The American history was never the same. They followed me and created wars, the beings behind the Zetas. They came into your space in a noticeable way, into your Area 51. They'd been doing it all along. So I'm still here, hiding amongst you all. I'm not here to harm, but to do good. But your world is very strange right now.
Meetis, do you hold the keys to change our reality and get us out from under their power? Is that the reason why we have so many problems? They've been influencing the U.S. since the death of Lincoln.
Yes, not just the U.S., but the entire world from the U.S. It was all very confusing to you. It is a power and may be confused with a few select wealthy ones you call the Illuminati. They are so much greater than that. I'm here to correct it, but I need your and everybody else's permission to do so. I'm not from this timeline, I would be breaking the unseen laws of time travel if I were to do such a change without permission. Rhodan says, if I can convince the people to allow me to intervene, I can make the change.
I will tell them you have my permission. Can I ask what it is that you can do and how it will affect us?
I will stop their war machine. That is their sole purpose. The other part will be to lift the mind controls. Others have already begun to do this. The Rhodans have been lifting the mind control off of some, but they need direction and balance to keep going. I know, I've seen the outcome of one extreme to another. Unfortunately, you will have to trust me. I only need a few to consent, and then I'll access the system to strategically break it down. I know their weaknesses. I know what makes them powerless. They will lose all power and try to escape. At that point, Rhodan will take them.
Was this all planned? Did you know they were going to do this? Also, is this Aldebaran?
It was planned as a snare. I was not factored in. I just happened to get in trouble when this all transpired. Rhodan said I am the perfect one to take them on. They think a bit like me. Yes, this is the most dangerous faction of the Aldebaran, or Brawn, as they now refer to it. I must leave now from Montauk and visit these timelines right away. Get yourself out and join me. I'll be watching for you.
I can't do that. I don't know how.
You know how, but not in the traditional way. Just as you found me on Geb. Be gone now and don't fret about anything. I will see you soon.
Wow. So, as you say, yeah, it's a very serious Meetis this week.
Yeah, I mean, he's taking on something. Well, when they sent him over to Geb, I think, Rhodan, you just said, all right, you're in this prison camp, and then there was an invasion of, what looked like, they looked like the Zetas to me. Small greys.
The greys, yeah, what we call the greys. And, he described them perfectly as little robotic and walking in a strange way. People talk about that, don't they? Like puppets. Were they like goose stepping, or were they like,
some of them,
like
they
puppets?
started to goose step because I think that they had some of the, some kind of Nazi faction with them. And I don't know how, but, that started, and then Rhodan, because I was there, Rhodan saw it and ended up helping to release. It was like a spaceship that showed up. It was kind of like a oval, but it kind of reminded me of like a blimp, a little bit like a blimp, kind of oval looking. Like the Zeppelin or something,
Right. I'm seeing something. It's kind of white or kind of mushroomy color.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Actually like a mushroom. That's what it is like, isn't it? Is that the shape you're getting?
No, it was actually
maybe these ships are grown.
It was definitely like the shape of like the Zeppelin.
Oh right, okay. So yeah, like a sausage shape, pinched at both ends. Yeah. Rounded, pointed, flat?
Rounded. It was strange looking. It didn't look like the typical spacecraft, like, it wasn't triangular shape. It wasn't, the airplane that we recognized. It wasn't the tube shape that we usually see in our spacecrafts that go to the moon or to Mars or wherever. So it was different looking. It didn't have any wings. And it showed up, and then he was able to leave, and then, upon his entry, it screwed up the timeline, so upon his entry, I had to come back with him, and of course this is another, aspect of me, but by entering in, I screwed up the timelines that I couldn't go into the timeline where I actually was at that point, and then I started to realize this is how I created an alternate timeline for myself. Remember we were talking about alternate timelines and you have one? JP?
Yeah, so interestingly, I posted on my Facebook today. Do you remember when we first did that journey and we came on that timeline? And I rolled it forward to today, and I saw like flying machines and all this stuff, and it was just like this thing that I posted yesterday, which is the timeline if Tesla was instead of Edison.
Well, this was all steampunk stuff. I mean, I was seeing all sorts of mechanisms and things, and I think Meetis brought in a lot of that technology.
Yeah, that's kind of his character, isn't it? Steampunk. Yeah.
And so I was drawn to this hat. It was really funny because I was drawn to this hat about a couple weeks ago with goggles, and it was one of those tall hats with goggles.
Oh, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
A little bit, yeah. I was thinking of getting it just because, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm a geek.
Sometimes you just have to, Jess.
I know all the money in the world that I don't have that I can spend on something frivolous and foolish. But what makes us happy sometimes is worth its weight in gold. Excellent. And I guess that's one way to look at it. Of course, I don't do that all the time, but on occasion, one little something makes life a little nicer. So anyhow, so that happened. The only thing that happened was these beings followed him into, now this brings in a big thing, because when he stepped through the timeline, of course, he interfered and stepped through the timeline. I interfered by creating an alternate reality, which brought in, he names the people that were affected by it, probably the people that I've been communicating with. One was you, one was Viking, one was Dan, one was, Jacob. And, somehow you guys were entangled at the time. I don't know how. So he mentioned that. I just wanted to know what was going on. And then
hang on a second, Jess. Who's Jacob?
I'll have to introduce you to Jacob.
Oh, this is another person that you know.
Another person that I know that you have to meet.
You just have to meet him. How very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. I'll tell you about this in a second.
It has some interesting information as well.
Interesting.
Yep. Maybe he's listening.
Yeah, you can call in.
Yeah.
You go to waterspiritradio.com /listen, and there's telephone numbers there, I think. I hope.
Yeah.
If
well,
not,
Jacob, if you're listening live and right now, and want to come in and say hello, then you do that. If not, we'll keep your information private. But let's see. So getting back to it, I'll send him a quick message and see if he's around. Getting back to this, I wanted to mention that by Meetis doing this, these beings followed Meetis in to this reality, the regular timeline, and thought he was disguising himself as Abraham Lincoln, because they both wore a tall hat. And I have a feeling that there were more than one person that ended up dying from that, but he apologized for that information.
There's something about this, because our friend and future president Andrew Basiago, in one of his other interviews, not in the ones we spoke to him with, but in his other interviews, he spoke that whenever they tried to find out who actually killed Lincoln, whenever they tried to time travel back to that place, no one ever got there. No one ever saw it. If they went to the box, they would hear that he was shot in the street. If they went to the street, they would hear that he was shot in the box. There was some sort of weird time anomaly about being able to see that. And so there's another corroboration that, we're experiencing the action of time travelers.
All right, so because Meetis brought in such a strange anomaly that no one could change that, because it wasn't just him, but it was the beings that came in looking for him that threw off the timeline that it couldn't be altered. Or that no one could fully observe it. They hid themselves very well in what they did. Is that what you're saying?
Somehow. Something as that, well, it's just that it's like one of these Heisenberg uncertainty principles, is that the uncertainty is like, if you know where something is, you don't know, you're uncertain as to how fast it is going, and if you know how fast something is going, you can never find out where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because of the nature of the way we measure things is all about, like distance and time, and if you're trying to isolate one, you can't. So basically what they're saying is you cannot split space-time. So somehow, it's really interesting, because if I look at this situation, it feels like, it feels like a knuckle that I'm sliding across the top of something that doesn't let me into it. I'm just kind of sliding over the top of it somehow. It's like there's a veil, a Teflon shield around it, makes everything slide away and shy away and not look at it. Like one of these mind control things that says, don't look at that thing, so you can't see it. You see everything but it. And you can only see its reflections.
Yeah, I thought it was strange because he seemed very much full of regret. That he had caused that it was an identity issue, that they thought it was him. Apparently he was wearing the same kind of hat, or they had witnessed him wearing a hat like that before. Okay, so Jacob has been listening and is interested in coming in. So, I'm gonna get his,
if you can drag him into this chat room.
Okay. Or we can actually bring him in too.
Yeah, then you can bring him in, and then he needs to take, make a contact with me.
Yes, we'll do that. So, the other thing is remember we talked about, I had another timeline. I don't know how this happened. I don't know if this is the same timeline or not, but that I saw myself, as traveling to the moon like a spaceman as a male, but it seemed like it was in the 60s, and which it doesn't line up with my regular, timeline that I know of. And it didn't make any sense. So maybe because of me, and I don't even know how this is happening.
Well, hang on a second. We do now know that there was a moon landing in the 60s, and even in the 50s. Is that there was a secret space program that was far in advance of the NASA, fuel in tubes. Rocket system, as opposed to what we've discovered is the Diglocker transport system, which is the rotating gravitational devices. So even in this timeline, you could still have experienced that secret part because it was secret.
Well, the whole thing is I saw myself as a male, blonde male, and I was British. How could that be?
Well, that's still not beyond the bounds of possibility.
Right.
Considering what we've learned now about what has been going on in the last 70 years that we've never heard about, that's not it's not without the bounds of possibility. It's very likely that because the Americans and the British shared everything, or whatever the Americans got, the deal was that the British would get something like that. So if you have your MK Ultra, we'll have all like the tools. There'll be the MK Ultra package, and the if you have a secret space program, we'll have the secret space program package. So, we'll have the Queen will have a TR3 or something. Kind of thing. And then we've got all these other organizations, like what Peter belongs to, which are neither one nor the other. Yeah. Who can, they can probably get a few spaceships built for them. You know,
Right.
just like Toyota will build you a car to custom. You know, if you're rich enough, I want a Toyota. Yeah, what would you like, sir? You know, the people that build the ships can also build custom. You know, it's just the way things are, isn't it? You buy a yacht, you can buy a cheap one, or you can buy a luxury one. It's just what they stick inside it. But it's the same tin. So all of these things are, you know, they're completely feasible. That we could have easily had a moon travel program that wasn't rocket based. You know, you may have gone up in a gravitational craft rather than a rock. You know, the actual gas bottle rocket.
I saw that what was weird is I saw me and 3 other people, and we went up in a spacecraft. We went up in a rocket ship. We landed on the moon.
All right, so it was a rocket.
Yeah.
All right, interesting. Yeah.
And then I remember getting out and actually feeling my feet sink into the ground, and it felt very dusty. And as we only took a few steps out of the spacecraft, we were fully dressed in the gear. And I looked to my right, and there was a gray. And he looked like he was dead, and we were, you know, kind of shocked to see him there. And didn't really
just lying on the ground?
Lying on the ground.
Crap.
And we kind of walked over and looked at him, and, you know, kind of trying to examine him a bit. And then some others arrived, and they escorted us back to a space where it was almost like we didn't know how we got there. And then we were sitting there, all 4 of us, in this white room. It was oval shape, and we could see outside like a window behind them. The seats it was just some white seats, and it was barren on the inside, like not very little furniture. I didn't see any.
Can you remember your feeling of the experience?
It was strange. There was 4 of them. There was 4 of us. They were almost, I don't know how to say, we were males. They were males, but they were flirtatious. It felt sexually charged. I don't know how to explain it. And they seemed to be very interested in us. And but we were like scared. You know, like not only is this like scary because they're aliens and we don't know how they're able to do some of the stuff they can do, but now there's also a sexual element to it that I thought was weird. And we were all kind of looking at each other like, what should we do? And they requested that they wanted to be able to experience what it's like to live on Earth. And not thinking that we had any options, we all consented.
All right. So what did these people look like?
They looked like grays, but like taller grays. They like our size, not like probably around 6 foot. They weren't like small ones.
All right.
And they weren't Zetas.
They weren't Zetas. Could these be the Men in Black?
It could be. I don't, I have to really examine it a little further, but Men in Black can change.
Yeah, if you put these guys in a suit and a hat, the suit was kind of stuffed out so that their little skinny arms didn't make it look like they were, alien. And you put them in hat and sunglasses. How far away from human could they look? Could they pass in some sort of distant, do you know what I'm saying? Could they look enough human to pass by if they were wearing hats and stuff? The way they do.
No, I mean, they clearly look, unless they shapeshifted a little bit, they really look like grays.
Okay, well maybe they have holographic hats or something.
Yeah. I'm not sure that they were Men in Black. I don't know really what it was, the whole thing was weird. It was just a really weird experience, and we were just looking at each other. Before you know it, they were kind of connected to us, or maybe had an attachment. Mm-hmm. We returned back to, the planet, and, then they become a part of our experience. Kind of, I don't know if it would be like an altar. Bringing extra abilities and so forth. But it was really weird, and I don't remember all the details in it.
Interesting. So, Jacob has just joined us. Are you with us, Jacob?
Hello, Jacob.
Just nod if you can hear me.
I don't think he can hear us yet.
He can't hear us yet.
Jacob, can you hear us? I can see him.
Oh, he's hung up a second. But we'll bring him back in for in a second. And that's right. He needs to us. I need to call him, and then he can join us in this thing. God, very very exciting show today.
I know.
Lots of people coming in. Jacob, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good afternoon, good morning, or whatever time it might be.
Hello, Jacob.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi. So, sorry for bringing you in. We just, Meetis.
Actually, I'm listening on my phone. That'll be why.
I know Meetis mentioned you, so I thought, well, we should bring you in and we talk about this really strange thing that happened here where he, came in through our timelines from, did you listen to the part where he was on Geb? He was sent to Geb, pretty much as a disciplinary action.
I just started hearing. Are you talking to me now?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. I've been listening from the start. So yeah, I heard all this morning.
Yeah, and so he mentioned you, but I thought, well, maybe and JP wanted to know who Jacob was, and I said if he's interested, we can bring him in. And I hope you don't mind that I used your first name. I didn't use your last name, of course, for privacy reasons. That's your own choice whether you want to mention it or not.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I actually emailed you, JP, last week with about the Anunnaki with Gerald Clark.
Anunnaki with Gerald Clark. Which address did you use, by the way?
Facebook.
Facebook, right. Okay, I'll check on Facebook because, I've got about 4, 5, 6, well, maybe about 10 email addresses, and I don't look at them all. I hardly look at any of them.
Yeah.
No point in sending me anything because I don't have time to watch or listen or anything. So, but thank you, Jacob, and I'll have a look at the. It's not in my other thing there. No, it's not there. Unless. Are you... Hang on a second.
No, you responded to me, and I've gone, I'm trying to talk to Gerald Clark now, so there's something in the background.
Right, okay. Good. So, welcome, Jacob. You know what? One
Thank you.
Interesting thing, just as an aside, Jess, we did a session the other day, and do you remember there was one character who popped up who was an Amish?
Yes.
And for convenience, I kind of named all of those characters that came up, and the Amish character I called Yaakov. So it's interesting, and which is also was my given Hebrew name, Yaakov ben Yosef. So that's another Jacob thing going on there. So welcome, Jacob.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Jacob, you contacted me a while back and we talked a little bit, and if you want to share a little something about your connection to the show.
Just on the timeline, if you remember when we were talking, Jessica, so Andrew Bashago, he was talking about a timeline shift, and it was on my actual birthday, August the 12th, 1983, something to do with Project Pegasus, and I guess that relates into Montauk, which is what Meetis is talking about as well.
Yes.
So, I mean, a lot of the stuff is all rather new to me. It's all just sort of coming through quite heavy over the last, last month or two in particular, but I've been listening to the transmissions for a while, so I'm still kind of with you, Jess, sort of trying to piece it all together and figure out what feels right. I did actually see Meetis come to me since we've spoken, Jess. He sort of popped in and was cheeky and inquisitive, but the last time I heard from him, I don't know if it relates with you, but he felt like he was doing something with Andronicus as well at the same time, but they wouldn't really elaborate as to what. So, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so you were actually communicating with them as well.
Yeah, it seems that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Which most people don't do that. So, it's kind of rare that someone is actually communicating with, I know that JP does a little bit, but, for you don't even know me very well, and you're communicating with them, I think is quite interesting. So they recognize you.
Mm.
Yeah.
I guess the last time we spoke, you were speaking of how I was on, what was that planet with the Sleetaran?
The blue star, Zephyron?
Yeah, it was, sector 431. Was it?
438.
438?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, just, with all that sort of stuff, JP, it's always sort of resonated with me, and, the whole thing throughout, it's just been, felt rather close and intriguing.
Andromedan, I'm hearing. What do you think, Jess?
Yeah, he seems
sure.
he even actually looks Andromedan.
Indeed. So.
Yeah. That's what you heard? You heard Andromedan?
Well, yeah, he just said, what do you think?
A friend of Andronicus.
Yeah.
A friend of Andronicus, Meetis. You would know Meetis. Yep.
Are you a follower of Alex Collier, Jacob?
Yes, I am. Yep. I've, listened to him a bit.
Do you relate to his story? In any way?
Yeah. It's good to hear him back in action.
That's a very interesting, your birthday, right? And you say, yeah, it's an important day according to Montauk. Now, one of these, things about when they did these specific, experiments, like the Philadelphia experiment, the Glocker and all of the other time-space experiments, is that the biorhythms of the Earth were at a particular low that day, which is why when it happened, and it happened the way it did, it opened doorways. But just as you were saying this, the thought came to me, like, oh, hang on a second, maybe it can work both ways. So if the good guys know about this time portal, then potentially it could be an injection point, if you see what I mean. For future warriors to come back and to help deal with the situation. Now, if I say, are you first wave, second wave, third wave, which one came with you?
I'd guess it'd be third, but I'm not sure.
Okay, that's about right. Yeah, that's because you're the 80s, and I came in the 60s, and there were people who came in the early 50s, I think. There's these waves of people going out. Lots of people went out in the 40s, right? Loads of people went out in the 40s, and coming back in. But also there's injection points from the future. So you'd because the Andromedans and others saw that there was tyranny in the universe, in the galaxy, 800 years in the future, and have been sending people back to deal with it. And there's some plan. And people are injected at various points in time and space. Good guys and bad guys, and we all have our mark. We're all struggling to achieve balance by this moment, right now. That's my feeling. Anyhow, I'm sorry, Jess, for
not at all. No,
specifying.
it's all a part of it. I think that, like you said, it's we're kind of going with the flow, and we've had 2 guests on today. That one was planned, the other wasn't, and And I appreciate, that everyone else is really kind of rolling with it. Jacob, that you happen to be listening and jumping in and joining us and sharing some of your information. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. I've got a busy day today, so I'll carry on with the earpiece in my ear while I get ready for work and
carry on. Number one, are you carrying us around in your pocket?
Well, actually, it's 6 o'clock. Well, it was 6 o'clock in the morning when you started here in New Zealand, and then. Yeah, I sort of get up and get ready for the day while I'm doing things. So pretty much that's what's been happening.
All right. So we're on your iPod as you wander around, pad around the house in your bare feet, standing on Lego, and tears in the eyes. Anyway, thanks very much, Jake. Have a brilliant day, and we'll catch up with you. Well, whenever you want to call back in. Bless your heart.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jacob.
All right.
Okay.
I
think we should go into Andronicus, or I'm looking at the time.
Yeah, time's moving on.
I think we're okay, but we can just keep going.
Yeah. We don't have to waffle so much.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to waffle.
Plus we have music,
yes.
right? You have to.
Well, no, I haven't got that yet. I haven't got it yet, because, it's still a 90 megabyte file, which will take about an hour to upload anywhere, so, if you saved it as an MP3, it'd be much quicker and Audacity will let you do that. So you just save as, MP3 and, it will shrink its size down to 1/10 and it'll take about 10 minutes to put across, and you can send it by email. So if you can do that, that would be great. If not, let's just plug on, because we've only got less than an hour.
Andronicus.
Standard orbit, Captain. My eyes are going dim when I behold all that has happened in time. I thought if I brought a companion to this beautiful, untarnished paradise that it would suffice me. She is only a remnant of you, not truly you. This is not what I want after all.
Do you think it might be helpful to address your issues, as opposed to avoiding them and moving on into another reality? I've tried that very thing, only to feel somewhat empty and unfulfilled, and feeling as if I had unfinished business or lacked closure to a previous problem. I'll admit, it's burdensome and seemingly unending to have to revisit old hurts, injuries, and unresolved issues. It digs up mountains of pain, sorrow, and dis-ease. Yet, we all try to cover up the festering sore and discover that it never quite heals. Moreover, it could be that it grows worse and becomes infected. If let alone and unattended, it can even bring death. The heart and the mind are alive and have similar injuries that don't resemble open wounds, but have etheric aspects of it. The sorrow bleeds deeply into our souls and creates a festering effect of injury. We can bring upon an emotional death if unattended. Yet we are still alive. With physical death we also die, bringing our pain and sorrow with us. This is our eternal souls at work. It will not go away unless we attend to it. Could this be your problem?
Yeah. It's hard to admit, but you are correct. By being correct, it insists upon my awakening to this truth, and then it requires an action. These are the actions that I don't want to take, so I avoid them.
It's good to be honest. That is always the first step. You may not be human, but in this aspect you are very much like a human regarding your emotions. You feel deeply, you love deeply, and you hurt deeply. I know your sorrow. It is like an unending well sunken deep into the earth. Open up your wellspring and let it flow out of you. Release what needs to be released. It would be cathartic.
I will consider your words. For now, I lay in harmony with the plants. This eases my mind and heart. The yellow-green flowers are growing off the stems of a plant. This is something new. Where did the yellow come from? I only planted green plants here.
Was there something in the soil or atmosphere that changed it?
Possibly. I also see white, like a plant you call baby's breath. Subtle specks of white. I speak to the plants, and they love me, and I them. We are as one. They give me life, and I nurture them. It is so peaceful and tranquil here. I don't know if you understand what this does for me.
I think I do. Plants are very healing. More so than people realize. Why is it that the Vinkala like to kill plants and living things?
Because they know that's what makes us thrive. Since we Andromedans are very much like humans, the plants are our blood, our life force supplier. They are the fuel and the regenerative force within us. It is a lovely symbiotic effect. They hammer away at our life force, seeking to destroy it. They lift all that is good and what reminds them of our joy or happiness and crush it underfoot. It is not about destroying us outright. It is more about the suffering and pain that they like to impose upon us. It is slow and torturous. And this is what I am ignoring. The pain that they inflicted upon me. I am ignoring that the Creators allowed such atrocities and sorrow. And I am ignoring the fact that no one heard our cries for so long. Why was this allowed?
I don't know. Did you ever ask them?
Yeah?
Who did you ask?
Rhodan. And he turned me on my head upside down like a fool who should know nothing more than he is told.
Was that from the Blue Room incident?
Yeah, but we had many other conflicts that you don't know about. Every time I came against him, my experience grew worse. This is the reason why I am so far out in the universe. I choose not to be near him.
Do you feel that this is unreasonable without a cause? Or is there some truth in what he does?
There is truth in what he says, but he refuses to accept me as his equal. I'm more than an equal, but chose a separate path. I have violated our pact and crossed into his realms without permission. I looked into his private stock and discovered some of his mysteries. I do understand his anger. We are as siblings, but not as you understand it. I am more a drifter or a loner as you understand the terms of my lifestyle. I travel, I journey and don't grow roots into any society or existence. Many enjoy my company. I am easy on the eyes and ears. I bring laughter, sorrow and emotions to all who I meet. I can look deep into the soul and tell you all the things you desire. But then I leave, and each and every one I encountered then feels barren upon my departure. It is like a flowing river that abruptly runs dry. I can't sustain the love beyond my presence. This is what my brother gifted me with. He was worried I would be loved and adored more than he. So he gave me a temporal connection to others. I'm alone, you see.
That is so far from the truth. So many love you now. You have made an impact. People want to hear what you have to say.
That's good. Your world has made an impact upon me. I'm growing flowers in this place now. There is a red flower that makes me think of you. I will let it grow in various areas of the garden. I will allow various other colors to flourish and support all of humanity. It is my blessing to all of you. I am feeling lighter now. The weight upon my shoulders has diminished. I'm lifting a bit above the ground and slightly levitating. Tell me, how can I help you further?
Can you help us or tell us how to diminish the power of the controls of the Vinkala or the reptilians?
Oh, you're already doing it. You're all universally saying no to them. They only have the power to rule over your minds if you say yes to it. Just say, no, I do not consent to your words, and they will be depleted of all power. Unfortunately, Much like the Andromedans, the people of Earth have forfeited much of their power to them because, like us, you didn't know any better. The planet is yours. It is your birthright. Merely say no. Take back what is yours if you feel they are clinging to your reality, your lives, your family, your homes, your nations, or your world. They create steps of control. You cannot disassemble these steps from the top down. They start with your thoughts and agreements inwards. As soon as you do that, you will be able to be empowered enough to take it all on. If you retain their control, you negate any request to go to diminish the higher sources of controls. Thus it is so. You can understand the rest. And so the power of the plants are much more than you imagine. I shall allow a deep purple flower to grow to heights unimaginable to help your people with strength against the Vinkala. They will not be able to withstand this force of energy. It creates imbalance to them and removes their illness. It is the illness that makes them cruel.
Illness? Can I ask what this illness is that they have or how they got it?
It is an illness from a serum, a cosmic elixir given to them by the Aldebrands to induce madness and unexplained violence. Unexplained verbality. To induce madness and unexplained violence. Their violence is not from protection or fear, as many imagine, or how most species behave, because this is not their natural form or reaction. This was an induced behavior brought upon by what you understand as a chemical reaction. That is the reason why it is not logical nor easily resolved. They cannot just be subdued. The serum must be negated. I didn't attempt this before because when the Aldebrands were in full power, they were a mighty force of psychological warfare. None had the focus and resolve to destroy as they had. In addition to that, they were unrelenting, taking turns for insurmountable lengths of time before they destroyed their victims. As much as I wanted to exact vengeance upon them, I had to consider the reaction and repercussions of having to deal with Aldebaran. With many cutting themselves off from Aldebaran and eliminating their source of power, I can clearly see this as an opportunity to help remove the sickness of the Vinkala. The purple plant will grow in stature, and the seeds will flow throughout the universe. I know this works. I had subdued a few of them in part while traversing the universe. This is my gift to Earth. May you prosper and thrive. Oh, hello.
Hello. Yeah. So, Andronicus is gifting us some type of medicinal herbal remedy to help the reptilians, Vinkala, be cured from whatever control that they have from the Aldebaran.
So the Aldebrands have been manipulating the reptilians, and the reptilians have been dominating the galaxy.
Yes. They use their brawn, right? They use their power.
The brawn, the vril.
Mm-hmm.
So this is very interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, very emotional for me to read that, I have to say.
The beginning part is to help Andronicus release some of his trauma, and he kept doing things because he wasn't able to release it. And I was picking up on that while we were, communicating, and finally he decided to face some of his. He was literally running from his problems, not running, but avoiding, as a lot of us do. When we don't want to deal with something, we just kind of shift the conversation, we change, we go in the other direction, we get into another project, we go down another road.
Yeah, we call it denial.
Yeah, we get in another relationship. I mean, some people, really go extremely.
And this is another, like what people call addiction. Mm-hmm. And it actually goes back to that feeling of not being able to
push past this like slippery thing. Because addiction is like that. It's like what you're running away from is the thing that obviously you need to face, and it's like diametrically opposite to the direction you're moving in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if you're continually moving towards new relationship, then there's an old relationship that needs to be faced. Kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, it's just a way of people coping. It's really hard to deal with certain things. And especially if there's a lot of pain, infused into that emotion. In the case of Andronicus, he was, as a prisoner by the reptilians or the Vinkala, and the mind control, remember they had the mind control abilities, so it was very much they were depleted in who they are. It's almost like they were brought to a state of not recognizing, almost like they were slaves. They were devalued down to a number. You know, no name signature, as he referred to. You know, just essentially brought down to nothing. So, yeah, very, very low self-esteem, deeply injured. No matter what he did, even, you know, as powerful as he became at times, it didn't seem to satisfy that void or that injury that he had. So, and I imagine all the Andromedans that experienced that probably have a remnant of that as well. So anyhow.
So there you go.
We should move on to,
next
Rhodan.
on the line, it's Rhodan. Okay, I'm just having to deal with a Skype bloody bot here going on. You know, like, there's a scam. Oh, let me just tell you, there's a scam.
Oh, okay.
Right? A Skype scam. Somebody gets caught and you'll get a message saying, how are you? And there is a store or supermarket near you. At which point I said, go away, robot. And they put 2 question marks. Because there's some sort of hijacking going on. Basically somebody wants you to buy some iPhone, tokens for them. Yeah, they say,
really?
I need your help. Yeah, so I'm going to say, go away, robot, because you'll just, I should share my screen. That's great.
Yeah, and you can complain to Skype about them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a hijacking. You know, it's a scam. Go away, robot. I'm going to block you in a second.
People do that stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, we've got Andronicus, Meetis,
karma.
Rhodan. Very bad karma,
Yeah.
especially for me. If you do it to me, because you're coming right into the studio, and now like maybe dozens of people will know. You know, if you hear this, you know, I need your help.
Almost like we need that Batman. Meanwhile, back at the...
Meanwhile, or with the new one, which is the
new one.
Meanwhile, at stately Wayne Manor.
Yes.
I heard Andronicus complaining about me. I understand his sorrow, but he has created what he wanted and had many more choices than you can imagine. Why he chose to live as he does is beyond me. He finds such solace in the plant life. I know he tries to paint me as the disciplinarian. I only cross over if he enters into my region. He is well aware of the repercussions of that. Neither did he mention that this all began because he violated the universal laws of changing time without permission. If he had requested to return to that experience, it would have been allowed. He could have turned around in his journeys and chosen another path. These laws were set in place so long ago, and it is what keeps the fabric of time together. And it is what keeps the fabric of life together. It would be a great disassembling of the realities. Many would suffer greatly. I cannot allow such selfish behaviors to thrive. He needs to be responsible in that way.
There are two sides to the coin, and it doesn't matter how you toss it. Two sides remain. Wait. Andronicus, you are asking to return there again. You want to go back to Neptune. Yes, I would like to go back there in accordance with natural laws and without violations. What do you think you will change if you do this? I want to set in motion the right path. Everything I did there was of jealousy and anger. I understand that now. I interfered with Zamfir, Ketron, Kraton, Suma, and all the species of the male beings and others. Can I correct this violation so I can be free of it? I must consult the ancients to see if this is beyond your level of temptation. This really stirred you to complete rebellion and recklessness. Why must you consult the ancients? I thought you were in power and able to make your own decisions. Why do you tempt me, Andronicus, with your commentary of unwitting demands and senseless accusations? Will you ever learn? No, you're misunderstanding my suggestion that you're in full control and don't need the wisdom of the ancients. Just let me journey on that path. I see. So you're now flattering me for your own cause. Well, what can you measure after your second failure to succeed in winning all the hearts of Neptune? Have you no other purpose than spreading your seed amongst the plant people? Oh, the slighting begins. The slighting begins. Well, I suppose you're correct. They are an intermediary species of plant and flesh. Shall I say fish people as a better reference? Again, Andronicus, what do you need from me? Shall I send my blessings to honor your fertility rites upon the base and simple minds of the plant beings? Without Zamfir's magic, they are as underwater plant beings. Behold, a rock with Zamfir's magic could seduce you into submission. I'm sure he could accommodate that for you. Come now, my brother. Why burden yourself with such lowly thoughts and raise your mind to something of value? It is your anger that drives you into this state of despair. Let it go from you. It only prolongs the problems that can arise.
Andronicus lifted his head and closed his eyes without a word. He knew what Rhodan was saying was the truth.
Hear me out. Up ahead is another civilization that Zamfir has created. He will give you permission to participate and experience if you choose. Of course, he will retain control over it so you don't get into trouble or end up like Meetis, floundering through all the difficulties of things. Are you bored? Is that what your problem is? I know I can fix it and make it right. I know I can go back and it will change everything, not just who I engage with, but how it trickles down into all realities, into all spaces of time that got tainted by this poison that affected many cultures and species. Allow me to go there. What is it that you want to change? I don't want to become what I am now. I want my innocence back. This is where I lost it. I have searched high and low and looked beyond galaxies and the greatest mysteries of all, and found that my heart is vacant, void of the love I could feel before. What else can cure what currently ails me? Can I ever forgive myself for this action? Can I ever resolve the conflicts I have with you? Can I find peace with the ancients for the root of my troubles? I see. Tell me, how will this make a difference to you and the others who will be violating once again by entering a field that is not truly your space to violate? Have you considered Zamfir's reaction to all of this? After all, this is his planet and remains to be so. This is the reason why Tektatron still suffers. Both of you took what didn't belong to you. I cannot emphasize this enough. It is the Trojan War. Paris took what didn't belong to him by stealing Helen from her husband. This is a universal law. It cannot and will not be broken without repercussions. Bathsheba did not belong to David. You, my beloved brother, will never own Neptune or the beings on Neptune. I never wanted to own Neptune. Kraton and Kettatron did. Even still, they didn't realize it belonged to Zamfir. He's quite elusive and hard to understand. He will not share his power with anyone. It is he who you need to ask. Who is searching for me? Andronicus is requesting to return. I'll start again. Andronicus is requesting to return back to Neptune. Ah, of course, for a price. What do you want in return? Your green planet. I will create another one for you. The one that is healing to other planets. It is my original source of plant life that I had collected from the beginning of time. You want to take, but you don't care to give. You have a selfish heart, Andronicus. I don't like that about you. I don't mind giving, but you're asking too much. Am I really? You have asked much of me. How many of my planets have you indulged in and enjoyed the pleasures of without lifting a finger? These were my property, yet I shared it freely with you, without question. Your violations include changing time without permission and trying to own Neptune and the inhabitants without my permission. The only one who had permission to be on Neptune was Suma. I sent her there. You had permission to visit. As you can see, I have an open heart to share my beauty and my abundance. Your violation occurred when you desired ownership. So now you look upon me as if I am unjust, while you desire to take and not give once more. What shall I think of your proposition as anything less than usurping my authority? No, Xantha, I have no intentions to say that to you. I merely wanted to visit there and correct some things that occurred. Very well. When you decide to give me your green planet, then we will make the arrangements for you to visit there again. This is your folly, not mine. I am not expected to give you any more of my time unless you consider what is right. After all of the trouble you have caused, the green planet is the least you could do to make amends. Farewell.
A loud boom and explosion of purple dust hit the floor. The room grew dark, and only a spot of light on Rhodan. A spotlight on Rhodan and Andronicus as they stood across from one another. You could hear a pin drop in the silence, and neither said a word. Andronicus glanced down, realizing that he had opened up by bringing in Xantha. Without saying a word, he communicated in thought, and Rhodan sent Andronicus back to the green planet.
I told him it was not a good idea.
There I saw Rhodan in the green planet, lounging by a tree. You are at the green planet now. Did you take it from Andronicus?
Yes, and he gets all 3 wishes. You will see. He is nearing his completion with us. We will bother him no further once his final tasks are complete. Thanks for talking some sense into him.
I was merely trying to help him in his sorrows.
You're helping all of us release our sorrows. It has not been good for anyone. Tell Primus, it is a virtue to be who he is. He has learned patience and understanding regarding many of the people he engages with. He has taken an honorable path in a not-so-honorable world. We are protecting him. Tell him not to worry about the outcomes. He will be unaffected by them. Rhodan. Whoa. Whoa, what happened there? So, like we got 10 minutes. Maybe we should just keep going with this.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Who's left here?
Do another show.
Tektatron.
Tektatron. Where are we? Tektatron. And then we got Kraton as well.
Yeah, but it's very short.
Okay, Tektatron.
Do you have the voice?
Where's the voice? Where's the Tektatron? Where's my plastic megaphone? Hang on.
Hello.
As long as they can understand it.
Where have you been? I have been waiting for you to make your next move, and you have done nothing. What type of tactic is this?
It isn't a tactic. I just chose to ignore you.
Well, what fun is that?
I suppose that isn't any fun, but I heard you were a cheater, so why would I bother?
You don't seem to understand. This is a challenge of the wits. If you don't know how to play, then go away and stop asking me questions.
Okay. What game would you like to play? Who is the biggest liar?
Oh, I might like that game. Tell me, how do we play it?
I will tell you after you tell me what Adrian is up to now.
Adrian? Oh no, we shouldn't get him involved with this. He's a sore loser.
I understand. Do you always win?
Nearly always. They accuse me of cheating because I can compute at light speed capability.
That's fascinating. It sounds like you have an enhanced abilities.
I do in comparison to you. I know you are limited. I can read you now. You pose no threat to me, nor do I require a protective shield to hinder any attack from your advances. It is a simple exchange, our wits only. Yet you are some type of challenge, really. I quite can't understand it yet. Stop, Adrian. Stop banging on the door. It will not close properly if you break it. Very well. Let's continue our conversation.
Don't listen to him. He will destroy you. He took over my planet.
Tektatron, is that true? You took Adrian's planet from him?
Yes, I won it fair and square.
He's not one of us. He is strangely evil.
Sorry. Why is he saying that about you, Tektatron?
It is a minor incident. I needed his planet just for a brief while to reset my coordinates.
Is Adrian being held hostage against his will?
I wouldn't go that far. I think he likes spending time with us.
You know, you should let him go and give him his planet back.
That doesn't sound reasonable to me. If he's not able to defend it, then he should not be able to keep it.
I'm not trying to be the Justice League, Tektatron, but, you know, you have the right to do that. You don't have the right to do that. Adrian, do you remember who you are? You have the power to take him back, you know. Look at what you did to his ship.
You pulled us through from the ethers the other night. How did you do that? I'm so disoriented that I couldn't find my planet if I wanted to. Do you remember who I am? I've been so lost and unclear.
You were in stasis, weren't you?
Asleep, and then jolted from my sleep by these burdensome creatures. I can't tell you what odor I smell in here. It's awful. I just want to get out of here.
Pass through the door. That's all you need to do. Don't break it, just pass through it. They are not that concerned about anything else.
What are you saying? When are we going to play the game?
Do you know how to play tic-tac-toe, Tektatron?
That sounds fun. How do we construct the board?
Like a large plus sign. Go through the door, Adrian. Go through while he's distracted now. The door opened quietly and Adrian stepped through the portal. He was no longer manipulated by Tektatron.
Now what? Do we need other symbols? I see there's an X and a 0. This is very binary.
Yes, it is binary. You are correct.
Bing. So, so you distracted, you caused the distraction, and Adrian escaped with his planet intact, while Tektatron was obsessed with playing. Because you know that Tic-Tac-Toe was one of the very first computer games that you could play against the computer.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Very well done.
Funny.
Very well done.
I was going to say I couldn't play chess with him.
So there we go. So
he actually liked it. It was really kind of the whole thing is strange. Every time I interact with him, I really think I don't know if he's AI or what he is, but it's very strange.
Yeah. So final thing in the final hour is Kraton. All right.
Yes.
I can't remember what my Kraton voice is. What's my Kraton voice?
Oh, you have so many. You did a brilliant job doing all three, Zamfir and Rhodan and Andronicus. That was amazing.
See, I had to go back off from the mic for Andronicus and speak with a foreign accent, a random foreign accent. You know, I don't think I'll reproduce that one, but with a kind of growly whisper from Zamfir, because I still don't get Zamfir yet. And then Rhodan is always very close.
I think that's Rhodan and that's Zamfir.
So I hope
Kraton sort of had a deep voice too.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of did an echoey voice with him.
Oh, I just put a bit of reverb on Kraton, didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Let's just let's try reverb number 0. Which will come out there on the. You won't hear it, but the audience will. Okay.
As long as I can understand what he's saying.
Yeah. Okay, I hope that. Can I? 1, 2. Oops. 1, 2. Oh, that's not that. That's not that deep. That's not bad. That's bearable. All right. Hang on. Jess, it sounds like this. Okay. Just like
okay.
That. Yeah. So, and I can't remember what jingle I had for Kraton, so let's use the standard orbit. I'm in the upper levels now, the 18th dimension, but something is not quite right here. I see there has been quite a lot of tampering with our structures. I know they thought to do well by supporting these structures with makeshift platonic solids. Where is Zoroaster? What a mess he made. I have to talk to Ahura Mazda. This is beyond surreal. They must have gotten into a complete realm of insanity to build what I see here. None of it is structurally sound, and there is no one else to tell who will understand. I will have to rebuild it all. Now I understand why we were having so many problems below. It is a horrendous mess. I want to break down all of their doors and hold them responsible for this. Where is Ahura Mazda? I know where Zoroaster is, and where and what were they doing in my space? I need to discuss this with the ancients. I think the parameters have been interfered with. I need to bring this to a halt.
Wait. Don't do anything. Rebuild, of course, but don't bring it all to a halt. It will greatly upset the balances below.
That is true. Do you want to see what it looks like from here?
Yes, and, of course. Maybe sometime. I hope to see what you're able to do to restore it.
Yes, I can make the foundations more firm and solid without corruption and long-lasting. You can see my handiwork in the stones of earth. The rock formations are mine. I create the breaking, releasing, and carving. Do you like it?
Yes, I do very much so. So do many on the planet who see the mountains and the other foundational structures of our natural landscape. It breaks and forms from the weather and cold and hot and other elements above and below. It's really magnificent.
It will be like a new earth when I finish. I will show you in time.
Are we safe now from destruction?
Not yet, but you are much closer than before. I know you must go. See me soon. Kraton. Wow. Hello, I'm back.
Hello.
Right.
Yes.
So, there we go. We're right at the top of the show.
It's been a lot of fun.
It's been quite a network going. It's great. It's been lovely. Thank you, everybody. Indian Welsh.
What is
I don't know. These are random accents. They just come out. I can't help it, you know.
They said you sounded like Indian Welsh.
Indian Welsh. Yeah.
I haven't looked at the chat room. Anything in the chat room before we go?
Let me see. It's been very busy though. It's lovely.
Yeah.
And, people talking about time jumping. There's begging about that.
Olivia says if you wanted me to help you with the website, please let me know. Yes, Olivia. Definitely.
And also what we can do, as we've been talking about, we can create. I don't have to be the only person who's inspired by Meetis. So I think Red Pill, if you can get something to me, the best thing is upload it to SoundCloud, and then I can download it from there. That's the best place.
Yeah, the song. Yeah, I would love to hear that, and especially it would have been worked out perfect this week because we didn't have a song from Meetis. He was a little disoriented.
Oh, bless his heart.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so thank you very much, Jessica. It's been a great show.
Yeah, thank you also, and I want a special thank you to Jacob and Olivia for joining us today, and for everyone else in the chat room who's contributed. You guys are really, really awesome. Purple loose strife. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like maybe that's the flower they were talking about. Thank you, everyone. And like I said, if you're interested in taking that trip with me to Ireland, just let me know, drop a line, and also if you have a testimony, join us. Contact us and we'll talk about it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, by the way, if you want to help with Andronicus transmissions.com, please jp@wolfspiritradio.com. Send me a line.
We came from the future.